Hey guys, I'm John Setzler. Welcome back to Man Cave Meals. I'm not cooking today, but what we're going to do, we're going to have a look at what's involved in restoring some cast iron that hasn't been very well loved. I've picked up a few pieces of old cast iron recently, and we're going to have a look at this, and I'm going to show you an easy way to bring this thing back to life and give it a lot more years of use. So let's have a look. As you can see here, this pan is not in very good shape. It's rusting. It could be in a lot worse shape, but it's this pan's definitely salvageable. This is an older model Lodge. I don't know exactly how old it is. It's part of a group of 5 pans that I picked up recently that I found on Facebook Marketplace, but this pan definitely needs some work. So I'm going to show you a method I've learned that is easy. It's not too hard to do. And then we're going to do another video in a couple of weeks with a little more complicated method for pans that are in a lot worse shape. So what you need to make this happen is you need some easy off heavy duty oven cleaner, the kind with the yellow lid. You need a plastic trash bag that's big enough to hold your pan, and you need some nitrile gloves. You don't want to get this easy off on your hands. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to place my pan inside the plastic bag to help minimize getting this oven cleaner all over everything. And what we're going to do is just spray the pan while it's in the bag and get a nice coat of this on the back surface. And then we're just going to reach in here and we're going to flip the pan over and do the same thing. I know this may be a little difficult to see, but you just want to keep the easy off of other things. You can take this out in an open area and hold it up with your hands and spray it however you see fit. But the key is you just want to get a nice heavy coat of that on there. And that's all there is to the first stage. Here I'm going to take my gloves off, and then we're going to take this bag and fold it up. I'm just going to fold it in over the top of itself, and I'm going to leave this sitting outside. You want to go for at least 24 hours, but in this case I'm going to go all weekend. It won't hurt to leave it. It's about lunchtime on Friday, and I'm going to leave this till about lunchtime on Monday till I come back to it. So it'll be Saturday, Sunday, Monday. This is going to get 3 days here. So when we come back, I'll show you what we're going to do next. Okay guys, our pan has been in this bag for 3 days, like I said. So I've gloved up, and we're going to carefully remove this guy from this plastic bag and then discard the plastic bag. I'm going to throw that in the garbage. But this pan is extremely cruddy. It's kind of hard to see what's going on here, but let me get rid of the bag. And what I've got here is some standard grocery store grade. It's like a stainless steel scouring pad. And what we're going to do is we're going to use that to lightly scour the surface of this pan. You can see the rust here and how it's pulled it loose, but we're just going to spend a little bit of time scrubbing the whole surface of this pan to get all that off. So I'm going to finish scrubbing here and get all that loose. It's going to take me just a few minutes to get in all the fine places on this, so I'll be right back. Okay, and after I've got that pan scrubbed down, I'm going to turn on the cold water and we're going to rinse it off. And you'll be able to watch all that just peel away. This pan looks like it's done a pretty good job of getting completely stripped from this easy off technique. This pan itself was a little bit difficult to scrub out because of all of the small places on it with the steel wool. Sometimes a little small brush, a stiff bristle brush, might be a better tool for scrubbing out than what I just used here, but this has done a really nice job. You may see some spots left behind, which spots are okay. Sometimes you're going to come across a pan that might need this easy off process done twice, but I was doing some reading about that, and the spots that are left behind here, the theory is, or not the theory, what people say is these spots are going to cover up and go away during the seasoning process. But to determine if you need to run the easy off again is if any of it you can feel it and scratch it off. You may need to do another round of that. So after we get this rinsed off, we're going to I'm gonna scrub it again with a little bit of soap and water with the same scouring brush that we used before. So I'm going to give this just a light scrub. It doesn't have to be a heavy one, and then we'll catch right back up here. And now that I have that scrubbing done, one of the final things I want to do here is I've got a 50-50 mix of vinegar and water here, and we're just going to rub this pan down with that vinegar and water solution. And what that's going to do is that's going to neutralize any of that easy off oven cleaner that may still be left behind. So I'm just going to kind of make sure I get some of that on all the surfaces of this pan, and then we're simply going to rinse it off again with cold water. Now that I have that pan rinsed off and all the crud cleaned out of it, I'm just going to take a handful of paper towels here, and I'm going to wipe off most of the water that's still standing on this pan. And then we're going to toss this guy into the oven, and I've had the oven preheating at 250 degrees for a few minutes here, and we're going to toss this in the oven and let it ride there at 250 for a half an hour. Okay, now that this guy's out of the oven and cooled for just a couple of minutes, we're ready to apply our seasoning, or start it. And what I'm using here is Crisco. If you want to use some other product, feel free. This works good for me. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to take a paper towel and get some out here, and we're going to rub this. It only takes a little bit. We're going to rub this somewhat liberally onto the entire surface of this pan. This particular pan, as you can see, is going to take a few minutes because of the details. So I'm going to get this rubbed in, and then we'll be right back. Okay, now that I've got that coat of Crisco on there and got it spread out evenly, the next step you want to do is to take another towel, and you want to buff this pan off completely. You want to get every bit of that Crisco that you can back off of the pan. So I'm taking another towel here, and we're just going to wipe down again. We do not want any kind of heavy residue left behind here, so I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got this guy completely wiped down. This is our initial seasoning coat, and this is easier to go on and better to go on while the pan is warm. So the first step in the re-season is to heat. First, you heat the pan, 200 to 250 degrees for a half an hour to let it fully heat. Then take it out and let it cool enough to where you can still handle it, but to where your oil will melt on it. So our next step here is we're going to bake this seasoning coat on. We're going to put this in the oven, and I'm going to turn the oven temperature up to 450 degrees. Some people go to 500. I'm just going to go to 450, and we're going to let that bake in the oven for an hour, and then we're going to let it cool completely, and then we'll be back. Oh, and one other thing, when we put this in the oven, our cooking surface, we're going to go down, because should there be any oil left behind there that could potentially pool, we want it to be able to run out. So always put your cooking surface facing down when you go in for the seasoning in the oven. Okay guys, I've taken this out of the oven and let it cool almost completely. It's still warm, but you can see that this pan is developing a dark color. all the rust is gone. You can still see some of these dark spots that we started out here with, but that's all going to go away as I continue this. This is just the first round of the seasoning. When we're restoring and reseasoning a pan like this, we're going to go through that seasoning step 3 or 4 times, and this is just the first one. So I'm going to, off camera, I'm going to go ahead and run this through 2 more times, and the procedure for that is we're going to warm the pan up to 200 degrees for about 30 minutes in the oven. We're going to take it out, let it cool slightly, use a glove or a towel to hold the pan. We're going to apply our Crisco or whatever other oil you're going to use to season this with. And then we're going to take a clean rag and rub all of it off that we can get off. We don't want to leave any excess oil on the pan at all. Then it's going to go in the oven at 450 for an hour. And we're going to do that process here 2 more times before we come back and look at this finished restoration. And after a couple more rounds of seasoning with the Crisco, we've got a beautiful re-seasoned, completely restored pan ready to use. This guy's looking real good. It's got a nice seasoning on it, and I'm ready to use this pan to make some cornbread. So that's how I do it. There's a lot of ways to do this. This is just my preferred way for basic restoration. I'm going to explore the concept of electrolysis tank restoration on my next video related to this. I'm still trying to put together the pieces I need to do that. I've got one pan that's crudded up beyond belief, but I think it's restorable with that method, and we're going to do that. So this is how you do it. Now, the next thing you need to know about this is how to maintain this pan, or any pan. Once you cook in this pan and you get it dirty, what you want to do is you want to just clean it with hot water and a stiff bristle brush. You can use soap on this. I don't really recommend it, but you can do that. But when you're finished cooking in the pan, brush it out. Get all the food debris out of the pan. Dry it off with a towel. Then you'll either put it on a stove burner over low heat to warm it up, or just toss it in the oven at 200 degrees, enough to warm the pan up, and then you just wipe it down with a very thin coat of oil and put it away. You don't need to re-season this pan every time like we've done here, but you do want to clean it, thoroughly dry it, and put a little bit of oil on it to store it. So give that method a try. Let me know what you think. Until next time, this is John Setzler with Man Cave Meals.